Hello and welcome to the latest Dinosaw. This is week 15 and these should be on Yammer. If you're not watching them on Yammer, then head over to the Yammer to sign up for more. Just look for the Skylabs group. If you're new to Dinosaurs, they are a selection of interesting, curious, innovative things I've seen each week, and the weekly versions are just 7 of them. So let's crack on. So the first one is really about sort of misusing software, really. So this is Sneak. Sneak is a piece of software that teams can use to communicate through video. So if you are a tight-knit development team, for instance, you can all be running Sneak. It's a permanently on piece of video, and you can just essentially chat as though they were next to you. All makes sense until you're certain employers who have got caught this week insisting that people use Sneak and using one of the inbuilt features, which is taking a picture of the webcam, and you can automate this. So every minute, for instance, taking a webcam snap of all of your employees and therefore proving that how long each one of them was actually sat at their desk whilst they are working from home. So not all employers have the same approach to working from home as Sky, for instance. So it's quite interesting how people are doing the right thing by staying at home, but doing the wrong thing by not trusting their employees. Interesting. Second one is news from Twitter. So Twitter are testing something called fleets, which are fleeting tweets. Now this is nothing new really in social media. These are stories. So Instagram, Facebook, etc. have had these for a long while. This works slightly different in Twitter. So obviously tweets are your normal tweets, and fleets expire within 24 hours. So there will be a user interface update on Twitter coming soon, no doubt. And the way it works is the fleets only appear on your user profile. So normal Twitter is normal. When you click onto somebody's user profile, you can then see their fleets. And anybody who has, for instance, an ongoing fleet or has posted to their fleet within 24 hours will have a highlight actually on their icon. So you can click on people, check out their fleets, and then you can DM them directly from there as well. So it doesn't really appear in the main Twitter noise, so to speak. So currently being tested, I think, in Brazil. So watch out for this one. It will be coming to us relatively soon. People are asking just for an edit, maybe the 5-minute edit tool in Twitter, but we're getting fleets instead. So maybe useful, maybe not. The third one is the Maze ransomware. Now, you may have heard of Maze, you may not, but they are the people that essentially lock down your computer and ask for a ransom using Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So you'd have thought right now they would have maybe backed off a little bit. However, they haven't. They've actually actively gone for some of the institutions, universities and teaching hospitals who are trying to help fight or find some sort of cure for the coronavirus. So that's not great. However, there's a little chink of light in this one, in that they are now offering discounts to anybody who's been affected. So if you'd like an exclusive discount, then you could just contact the team over at Maze and get your company working again. So again, there are some people who are doing the right thing, some people who are doing the wrong thing. That's another one who's doing the wrong thing. As a really interesting side effect of the coronavirus, or at least the panic buying, and there are lots of theories behind why the panic buying is happening. Not so much there are 2 or 3 people that are buying everything, it's more that we're all just buying 1 or 2 more of everything else, or maybe just buying something we don't normally buy, and therefore the computer systems that stock supermarkets haven't been programmed to work like this, and that's why they're just not ordering the same supplies. However, it's quite interesting, the first real weekend where this hit, some brands got a little bit of a rude awakening in that it was always their brands that were left on the shelf. So specifically, a lot of Hawaiian pizzas, clam chowder, nobody really wants that. Baby Shark cereal, for instance, and Tesco spinach, as well, pasta. So it's really interesting that that there is a phrase which is like, when the tide goes out, who's wearing their swimming costume, and we've just realised who was kind of winging it slightly. So if you're one of these brands, that's been quite an interesting test for you. fourth one, I think this is. It's quite interesting how certain companies have moved, and this has been bandied about quite a lot. So if you've not seen this, it was probably really the guys at BrewDog who had rejigged their brewery to essentially turn their alcohol into hand sanitizer. Actually, there are lots of people who've done this. There's loads in the States, and also Leith, for instance, over in Scotland. So it's just interesting about people. Yeah, there's a little bit of PR involved in this, but essentially they're all giving it away for free as well, and they're prioritising hospitals. So this isn't being for sale to the general public. They're just sort of giving it to health authorities and that sort of thing. So I think that's great. So point is like, how can, and we're all thinking about this, how can we change what we do for good right now? Back to industry news. So there's a couple of sort of reliable Apple leak sources out there that every time there's a new Apple update, then you go to them and you get pretty good results. So Apple TV is having an update. So Apple TV 6 will be the new update, and there's a TV OS coming up as well. Lots and lots of new features. The actual form won't change, so it'll still be a little roundy black box. However, the remote is apparently going to change. The big news is there will probably be a kids area as well. So I think this is also coming hot on the heels of them sort of prioritizing Disney Plus as well. And lots of parents features as well, so there will be time lockdowns, etc, etc. Bigger storage. I think there's a night view, so there will be a dark interface, essentially picture in picture, so you can actually check two things out at the same time. Essentially, nothing's actually been released. This is just a mock-up, by the way. This is not actually official. It's somebody's impression of it. But yeah, interesting. If you work in the kids industries, then this is going to be a big deal. And then finally, the first ever Formula One virtual race. So clearly big sporting events aren't happening. For the latest one, for the first one really, they had a bit of a dilemma what to do. Luckily, the actual F1 game has got a huge following around the world. There are YouTubers who essentially, this is their world. They have rigs, they have seats, they have pedals, they have all sorts of things. So for the first ever virtual F1, then they had a mix of existing F1 drivers. They had racers, so motorcycle racers as well as car drivers, rally, endurance racers, etc, etc, as well as a smattering of celebrities, golfers, for instance, and YouTubers. So it was really interesting. So this was primetime TV, as though it was the real race. There were qualifying sessions and everything. You had to qualify for it, so you couldn't just rock up because you were in Formula One, so to speak. So it was actually really compelling. There was some really sort of underdog stories coming out. I think the first YouTuber was actually Jimmy, who I was watching live in fourth, and that was exciting. He started from the back of the grid, so it had a lot more interest in it than probably a normal race would do. It was actually won by a Chinese F2 racer. So Formula 2 is basically, if you can, Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3 essentially. So you know, it was almost the right thing to have done as well. So it was really compelling, different format, and actually was very watchable as well. And obviously there was somebody called Dino in 10th place, so it was good. So yeah, so that was the Dinosaw this week. Stay tuned for more next week, and as I said before, check out Yama, the Skylabs channel, for more. Thanks very much.